I'm told that we've got Jim Rogers good on our camera in Singapore, so I'd love to just draw him into the conversation we've been having. Jim, good to catch up with you. Jim, of course, chairman of Rogers Holdings, with us out of Singapore this morning. Jim, just keep us in touch with what you're doing in your own investments at the moment. Where are you positioned?
Well, Jeff, I'm as confused as anybody else with what's going on. As usual, I basically am short stocks and long commodities and trying to figure out whether to add to the euro or not right now.
And that's interesting. You think the euro is poised for a turn here?
Well, I'm not sure, but I haven't bought it yet, but I may buy it after this program for all I know. Yes, everybody's terribly negative on the euro right now. It's unbelievable how many bears there are all of a sudden. So that usually means there's a rally coming, if only temporarily.
Do you think that's a rally on the fact that it's just oversold technically, Jim, or the fundamental value is right at around these levels?
Well, there is fundamental value at these levels. That does not mean it cannot go to $1 later on. No, basically it's a technical rally. Now, once the technical rally starts, it could turn into more than that. Who knows? It could turn into a major bull market. You have to start somewhere. But my thought is that I should probably be buying the euro. But again, Jeff, only because I cannot find anybody who's bullish on the euro. And that's usually a sign to move into the euro.
And there was
or anything.
And there was me, Jim, thinking that it was the confidence you have with the way that the European authorities variously are handling the Eurozone debt crisis.
Oh, Jeff, you're bad for my nervous system when you say something like that. You know I don't have any confidence in what's going on. I'm stunned at what Merkel did 3 weeks ago, when she said, okay, we're going to give up on the currency. We don't care if it's a strong currency. We will bail out people who spend money they don't have. No, I was stunned at that. I couldn't believe the Germans would ever, in my lifetime, do something like that.
Bob.
Jim, I'm curious to know what advice you would give the large pension plans who are facing enormous unfunded liabilities. Historically, they've been big investors in private equity, but have been burned by many of the more volatile asset classes and have pulled back, but yet they face significant long-term funding gaps. They're going to have to take risk in order to achieve the reward to meet their obligations. What would you suggest to them, and where do you think they will go?
Well, the only big bull market I see in the next decade continues to be commodities. I suspect what's going to happen before too much longer, governments are going to start printing money again. Well, let me put it this way. Economies are not going to be as strong as the governments hope and the central banks hope. Stock markets will not be good for a while, and then central banks will start printing money again because that's all they know to do. They don't have any better sense than that. And once they start printing money in a huge way, it leads to more inflation and then ultimately even worse inflation. And the only way to protect yourself that on a long-term basis is through real assets, whether that's cotton or silver or natural gas, whatever it happens to be. It will not be the stock market.
So, Jim, would you see levered plays into the commodity space through hedge funds and other products, or would you see simply owning the hard assets, as close to the assets as you can be, to protect wealth?
Well, it depends on how much you know about commodities. If you cannot spell commodities, I wouldn't suggest you buy any commodity. But if you know a whole lot about them, of course, leverage is phenomenal. Leverage will make you extremely rich very quickly if you know what you're doing. But please, you better know what you're doing if you start using a lot of leverage. You can get enormous leverage in the commodity business, as you know. But you can also go bankrupt in an afternoon if you don't know what you're doing.
Jim, a couple of viewer questions, both pointing to the same subject. One of them quoting you, I believe, saying that the pound is finished and wanting to get a follow-up analysis on that one, and another saying, where do you see the pound by the end of this year? One viewer pointing out it's actually been up compared to the euro since the beginning of 2009. So where do you stand on sterling?
Well, I do not own the pound, let's put it this way. I have no long positions and no short positions. I have no positions at all. As you know, the British balance of trade continues to be a disaster. The British debt continues to go up disastrously. The North Sea continues to decline. The city of London continues to decline. I don't see any reason to own the pound sterling at all, not for a long, long, long time, not until it's much, much lower, which I expect it to be. But I don't have a position. This is just an observation.
What do you think about emerging markets? Tom is writing in from Germany, wants to know which emerging markets you're looking at the moment, Jim.
Well, I have been selling short emerging markets. My shorts right now are technology in the U.S. and emerging markets. And I've been shorting emerging markets and technology because those are the things that went up the most in the last year or so. That's where, and I'm short one major Western financial institution. I've been shorting emerging markets. If some collapse, I hope I'm smart enough to buy some of them because I suspect there'll be great growth there in the future, especially when governments start printing money and people start putting their money into real assets.
We'd love to get a view from you, I think, on this BP story, perhaps just in the way you think it's going to affect oil prices. I mean, clearly President Obama is talking very tough with the company right now. I'm not sure whether they really should be off 50% in terms of market cap, but what's your take on this? Are you buying BP? What do you think of oil prices as a result of the story?
I'm not buying BP.